Sheri Jones in our little studio. Great episode. Back feed. So we apologize for that. The air conditioner was on. Forgot to shut it off.
You forgot something?
Victor 3, I'm pulling up on scene right now. Victor 3, hold the air. I see the subject inside. Looks like he's got a gun in his hand and he's pointing at the clerk. Guys, I've got the south covered behind you. Watch the crossfire. Running southbound, Rob. He's coming right at you.
All units, Victor 3, Victor 5 are fighting with one. Hold the air.
Victor 3, slow down. Subject in custody. Firearm recovered.
Copy that. Command clear. Subject is in custody for the robbery. Firearms recovered.
Hey, welcome back to Hold the Air Podcast. One and only John Cosme seated to my left. As always, no place else I'd rather be than this studio with you, man. We've been retired now for a little bit, and having folks come in here and having meaningful conversations and diving into what they're about, man, it just feels right.
Yeah, you have a long career. You don't know what retirement's like. You've seen others retire. You get there, and then you're kind of lost. You're in this space where it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we were able to put this together. We were able to come in here. For the most part, we keep it PG.
Yeah.
There's moments when we get fired up and we want to really express how we feel. We don't have to worry about blue team,
That's right.
So we're getting in trouble at work. So today, we really get to reach another level and experience someone who just went into a well-earned retirement.
You are not kidding. I don't think anybody in the Lansing area can have a better salute into retirement than the guest we have today. Welcome to the show, the one and only Sheri Jones.
Sheri Jones!
Sheri Jones, man. Come on. Let's go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sheri. We could not be more thrilled to have you here with us. We can't wait to dive in to, really, there's really two things that really stick out for Kaz and myself. Number one, it was really important for Kaz and I working the street for 25 years as cops that our legacy mattered. And what I mean is we wanted to go into retirement, look back, and know that it mattered.
Yes.
Right? And when we think about legacy and that it mattered, you are the front of the line. You were incredibly consistent all these years. Everybody knows you for doing it right, taking the high road, always being the quintessential professional. We definitely want to dive into how you did that. And really related but different to that is how in the world did you maintain such an elite level of professionalism? And also, let's not forget, you've been a wife for quite a while too, and you've got kids, and the balance and all that. And we really want to dive into how you hit the sweet spot.
Thank you.
So, first, the on-ramp. Tell us about Sheri Jones. It's easy to see the final product. Here you are, Lansing icon, but you didn't start that way. Take us back to the beginning. How'd you get started?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And I was so excited after we did the gang conference together, and then you came up to me and asked if I would do this, and I was like, heck yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
And so I really respect what you're doing and the insight that you can give and the guests that you have so that they're able to kind of just relax a little bit in your presence, because this studio is amazing, and to be able to really have really clear, authentic conversations with you. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
And what a blessing, what a career, 37 years. Ooh. And my admiration from law enforcement started right out of the gate. Right from day one, I wanted to be the crime beat reporter. That was really important to me. Oh. And imagine coming right out of Michigan State sorority, and I walked into LPD and said, "Hi, I want to be your crime reporter." And they're like, "You're kidding me, right?" Really, truly. Yeah. And but I talked to Chief Reef Snyder at the time and told him that I wanted to do a special segment called The Missing Link. And that was a segment that I wanted to just focus on unsolved homicides. Okay. And so I was able to work with a homicide detective, Detective Mickey Debnar, and he was chief partnered me with him, and he came down the hallway gruff as gruff, and I thought,
yeah,
how am I going to do this? And we are still friends today.
No kidding, man.
Yeah. So, and we worked up many, many stories, many unsolved homicides, and you know, it's always been important for me to be able to work with the families and to let them know that it's really important to get their story out, because, as you know, crime is happening all the time, and homicides are happening, and those cases, there's always news, so they kind of get set back here. And the cold case unit with Shannon is amazing, and I like working with her too.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where my start got, so that I could connect with the families, parents of murdered children, those kinds of things. So right away, out of the gate, I wanted to be the crime beat reporter.
Now, did you have the palate for it initially? Like,
You know,
The
I
reality
did
of it,
not.
yeah.
I did not. I came from a very small town in West Michigan called Ravenna. There still is no stoplight. There is only a Dollar General. It is probably 2,000. It maybe is up to 4,000 people now. But I grew a very sheltered life. But I went to Michigan State, and my eyes were open there.
Yep.
And then I knew that I wanted to be in television because I took an aptitude test, and it was either a lawyer or a journalist.
No kidding.
And I thought, I can always go back and get my law degree. But I never did that, because with my career, I could be in the courtroom. I could listen. I could follow cases. So I'd be on the street with you guys, working the crimes, reporting on the crimes, and then when someone got arrested, I got to go to court, and I got to see it all the way through.
Right.
So I still got that court feeling.
Yeah, man.
I was not. I was with, I used to go out on raids after I anchored the 11 o'clock news. This is before children.
Yep.
And I was with Tez and the Start team and Jimmy Rapp and all those guys,
Yeah.
you know? And they'd be like, okay, Jones, pack your jeans. We're going out. We're going to go on raids afterwards. I'm like, let's go.
Yes.
So I literally would anchor
Yeah.
the news, and I'd meet them at midnight somewhere.
Yeah.
And at that time, the Supreme Court allowed us to go right in the houses.
Okay.
We could go right in.
Yeah.
So the Start team would go in, undercover guys would go in. People would be up against the wall. The guns were on the ground.
Yep.
They were looking for drugs.
Yep.
We were doing the whole thing, and my guys were videotaping. And one time I got to a house, and Tez Woods came out and said, Jones, you're not coming in.
Yeah.
You can't come in. And I said, yes, I can. He's like, I don't want you to see this. And I said,
man.
I can handle it. And there was a baby in a playpen, probably maybe 1.5, and she had been drugged, because he put the flashlight in her eyes, and they didn't dilate, and I cried, right?
yeah.
And he knew,
Sure.
but out of that moment, I was 25 years old, and I said,
Wow.
I am going to do whatever I can to help the children in this community that are in situations like this, because sometimes if their parents are going to jail, they didn't have anybody to go with.
Truth.
And
Yeah.
so sometimes the social workers would take them home. So that, a few years later, I partnered with Child and Family Charities, and they wanted to build a house for abused and neglected kids coming out of situations like this, an emergency shelter, more
Yeah.
or less. And I said, well, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I got people, we got people, and we raised $2 million, and we built Angel House, and it's still standing in Mason.
Holy
Come on, man.
Yeah, so Rob has said it on previous podcasts before, and I absolutely endorse it. Some people are called into profession, and I knew at my graduation, the 61st Academy LCC, proud graduate. When I walked across the stage and my mother came up to me, she grabbed me by, you know how moms do, they put their hands on your faces, and she said, this was you. This has always been you. And I'm like, talking about? She's like, it's always been you. You just never really realized it. Well, that was a validation to a certain degree, right? But a lot like yourself, you had been at the department already. You go in and Tez is saying, and you're like, no, I can handle this. You go in, you have an emotional response. To me, listening from the outside, that's when the calling sunk in.
Absolutely.
Very first foot chase I had, I was very green to law enforcement. No one in my family ever had done it. I was going through the FTO program, and I got recycled twice. So I was like a pop can. Throw it in the machine, it'll come back out. You need to throw it in again, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, somebody take these 10 cents? Jesus Christ. But I remember when it finally started to sink in, and I had the right person in Del Costanco, and we got in our very first foot chase, and it was for somebody who committed a pretty nasty crime. And I sold out. I ran my tail off, and Del was with me. We caught the guy, and he grabbed me like my mom, and he said, "That's what I'm talking about, guys. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna get through this program."
awesome.
And that's when the hook came in. So when you sit there and describe that, I think of that like you were like, that baby shouldn't feel that way.
Right.
That's right.
And I'm gonna do everything, and you did for the next 37 years. Are you kidding me?
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Unbelievable.
That's
Yeah.
freaking awesome. I
And
got
I think,
goosebumps.
yeah, man. And I
Yeah.
think too, especially working the street, right? We are exposed to rep after rep after rep. It's on to the next and on to the next and on to the next. And you're going from seeing a baby like that in 1 minute, and then you're clearing that call, and the next one you're seeing some other violent or tragic thing a lot of the times, multiple times a day. And when you were talking about that, it's really easy to connect with. We've got a pretty dark sense of humor, and the reason for that is that's just a defense mechanism, man.
Yeah,
like we gotta laugh at stuff that isn't funny,
Right.
you know. And when you talked about the baby, this has nothing to do with that or at all. But I remember Billy Wyndham and I had a ride along, and he was straight fast track to being a cop, man. His kid had it, and great mentorship, and just this and that. And we go to a DOA. So this person has died. It was natural. It wasn't violent or anything like that. And the person had died on the bathroom toilet, and so naturally, the seasoned cops in the room, there's some dark humor involved here, right? And our intern ride along had never seen a dead body, so now we've got to put our hands in the dead body to roll them and check for bullet holes or whatever. And the intern is not feeling it, and he's kind of like bending down and touch him to we're gonna get him on the floor or whatever. And Billy Wyndham had the DOA by the pant leg and shook the guy and said, "He ain't gonna bite you." And he jumped like a cat, like cat twitching, man. Where?
Yeah.
But not to take away from what you're talking about, Sheri, with the baby, but as cops, when all we do is see that stuff, man, it takes a toll, Jack.
It will drill you into the ground.
It takes a toll, man.
And then here you are, right? You report everything at a higher level. So we
there you go.
We go and do a DOA, dead on arrival. That's not newsworthy necessarily, right? But you're tasked with stuff that's worse than that, right? That's newsworthy, right? And that you don't get to say, okay, today I get to talk about something a little lighter.
Yes.
It is
every day.
and I don't know how it works. So explain it to me. So I don't want to jump around too much, but Tez lets you in, you get committed. Angel House is birthed and it's still around.
Still around.
Which is a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
And then from there, where did it go for Sheri Jones?
Well, I'm going to harken back just to a little bit about your intern, if you don't mind. Because newsrooms are, I always say, they're a lot like detective bureaus.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the people that I worked with, I said, you have to understand what we see, how we deal with that, same as you guys. So we had an intern, and she was from a Spring Arbor College. And the next thing I know, there was a comment made in the newsroom about an 87-year-old man with a CSC and da-da-da-da, and there was a comment, and it wasn't appropriate, but, 30 years ago.
Sure.
So she was in the bathroom crying, and I walked in there, and I said to her, you have to understand this is part of how we deal with things, and if this is why you're an intern, because if you can't handle that, then you need to do something else. So it was important for her to have that experience to understand, and she decided not to go into the profession.
Yeah.
And no, that doesn't happen all the time, just like you guys, but there it very similar in that.
Because the key here is they're getting the front row seat.
Oh, yes.
They are getting the front row seat. You're getting a look at what this career looks like
Right.
for you. So if this isn't a fit, it's good to figure it out as an intern.
Right. It is.
You know,
Yeah.
So explain to us the process, you know, because we, you know, when you were working for News 6 and, you know, Lansing area would see you on TV, like, take us through the process. Like, how does that news story get to you? Like what is the on-ramp? How do you prepare? Like, what is that? What is the process? We don't know. We're fascinated by it.
Right. So, you know, thank you. We're 24-hour news station, right? So we have different day parts and different meetings throughout the day to talk about. So 9:30 meeting to talk about the day, and then we have the noon, and then we have another meeting at 3 o'clock to talk about the nighttime. And we'll harken back sometimes to some of those stories that happened, but we have breaking news too that we have to cover.
Yeah.
So we have a planner that we go through, and we have reporters that go out on stories. But if something happens that we hear on the scanner, then we're coming out there, right? And we're trying to talk to the person on the scene. So whoever that is, maybe you have a friendly face, or maybe you know someone, or you ask for the sergeant on duty, or something like that. And then we get the information.
Right.
And then all that gets funneled back to the news station, and we have a producer for every show, the 5, the 5:30, the 6, the 11. They work on the rundown and what story is first, what second, third, fourth, fifth, sports and weather are in there. So we have reporters that write everything and put it in. We have a producer that looks at it. Then it comes to us.
Got it.
So once I sign off on a story, no one touches it, right?
Oh, really?
But the reporters have to come and they have to have their stories checked, fact checked. We have to trust them with a lot because we're not out there.
A lot.
And we will, if they've made a mistake, we will correct it in that newscast.
Got it.
Then we'll correct it 24 hours later in the same newscast.
Right on. Wow.
So we are and I don't like to do corrections. And everyone knows I don't like to do corrections.
Well,
I do
Nobody-
not
nobody-
like,
nobody-
and
yeah,
they come
I
to
don't blame
you with their tail,
Yeah, I don't blame you.
between,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm like, you guys, you made the mistake, but I have to go on TV and say, you know, we want to clarify something, or however they want us to say it, you know.
Yeah,
So
Because you know what, Sheri, we've never been dispatched to a call with bad information.
right.
Okay.
You know, that's the same feeling.
Right?
You get there and you're like, whoa, somebody told me this was happening, or somebody told me that was happening, and now you got to correct it right there on the spot.
Yeah.
So I got to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first thing is she's describing this process, right? About you got 9:30 meetings and this and that, and everything's vetted, and it's like the cops just killed an emu. Blue team, go! Everybody run! Get there!
Yeah.
That thing went viral,
yeah.
did it? Oh my gosh!
It did.
Yeah.
And Blake, our photographer, he was right there.
Oh yes!
Oh my gosh.
So listen,
Yes.
R.I.P. that emu. I grew up raising chickens.
I know, right?
And I used to name some chickens, you know what I mean? So I know what I know what it means to get attached to some birds and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just.
But they said that man was animal control knew
He's had some
that
problems.
gentleman. That
Yeah, a little more self-care with his animals. Maybe that could have been avoided.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But
anyway.
those kind of spot news, we're always ready for the spot news. We're always listening. We're always, or people that listen to the scanner 24/7, they call us.
Yeah.
They'll say things to us. We have certain people that are always call the station from Jackson and Lansing and Charlotte.
And I think personally, and I'm not just saying this because you're in the studio. I'm not. Rob and I made a vow to each other. We're not going to just blow smoke to blow smoke. We don't do that in here.
No.
But being a Lansing resident and a loyal Lansing person, I think we have good news affiliates. I think that you can watch the news, you can switch back and forth, and it just seems like there's an honest effort there. I had to ask this question.
Yeah.
Rob and I had written down a bunch of stuff, and we're kind of close to it, so I'm going to ask you now.
Go.
What drives me nuts right now, and I'm turned off by national platforms, because I don't feel like everything that you just described, your passion for, damn it, get it right, because I'm going to go out here and I'm going to say this, and I believe in telling the truth, right? And I'm not trying to trash journalism, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh, when I was a kid, I had to walk through 12 foot of snow to get to school. No, that's not that. But my God, is it divisive? And is it? It's almost like it's either you're with this team or you're with that team, and if you're not, then it's just really mean. And I lose my appeal to, like, I have to go search for the truth. You know, back in the day when I was growing up, you just trusted Dan Rather, you trusted Peter Jennings, you trusted Walter Cronkite. You know, these are national platforms. Locally, for me, it was Bill Bonds out of Detroit. But now it just seems like you have to work so hard as the consumer to is that right? You know, so this vetting process that you're describing is nice to hear, because as the consumer of the unknown information, that's what we want, is vetted information.
Absolutely. And anyone that comes through TV6 and is mentored by me, they know that my mantra is, we better be right and not first.
That's right. Wow.
I want to be right and not first. We had other stations in the market that went and said something like about officer-involved shooting, and I said, where did you hear that? Well, the scanner. No. We will not use scanner traffic. We will wait until we find out.
That's
well,
fantastic.
that was wrong.
Yeah.
But they already went on the air and said that, and we never did, so we didn't have to correct anything. We were right and not first. But social media and Twitter have really pushed journalism to break it first. I'm going to tell you a little story. After the whole Nassar situation at Michigan State, before Luana K. Simon was deciding what her future would be, because being in the community so long and being a trusted source, they said, I got a call that said she was going to resign. And I said, okay. And the people in my office were like, well, you just got the call. Just go on the air and say she's going to resign. I said, no, because she could send the letter through fax machine, and she could go to send it and change her mind. Sure. So we are going to wait until that letter goes through to the Board of Trustees. I'll know it. It'll ping, and then we can go. So get your video ready, get your social media ready, get my cutting news ready. Everyone get ready. And we're going to wait. So everything played exactly like it was supposed to. She did go through with her resignation. They did call me. I went on the air. I broke it, and it went Detroit News, New York Times, Wall Street Journal.
Wow.
Just like that, in 1 minute increments. But I looked around the room and I said, do you see why we wait? Do you see why we wait?
Yeah.
Now that no one knows that story, because but it was the trust from the Office of the President at Michigan State that said, we're going to tell Sheri first.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and to honor that and respect that, instead of just going, I got it, let's go.
Yeah. Well earned though, Sheri.
Thank you.
I mean, they knew that they knew.
That's the facts. That's exactly what I was going to say.
They knew
man.
they could trust you.
That's it.
And so much of it nowadays, it's like, oh my God, like, you know. And if it was, what's the saying? If it bleeds, it leads, right?
Right. And I know you had Scott on, right?
Yep.
And that is not our philosophy.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It's not our philosophy. And because because of social media and the way things are shared.
Yeah.
And negative news is shared way more than positive news. So I'm always saying, if you have a good story, please call us. Please call. So we're going to have to cover the bad sometimes, but if we can offset that with the good, 100%. But we don't know it if you don't tell us.
Yeah,
so
right. Content over emotion.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If we can trigger the audience, more people are going to be triggered and have a triggered response. If 100 people respond with a triggered response, I'd rather talk to 10 people with content.
Yes.
Every day and twice on Sunday. You know, especially when we're talking about loss of life, tragic like weather incidences, right? The terrible things. You don't just get out there and say something about someone and just walk away. That you're to be applauded for that. That's a great. I mean, 1 minute increments. That's how fast. I mean, you know what I mean?
It just went. You could just see it go.
But you knew, and that, to switch back to your legacy, Sheri, that is why you are who you are, to relate to us, right? We know a little bit how that feels, but to me, one of the hardest things to do as a trainer, when I was a training officer, one of the hardest things to do is to teach someone, if you want to get to an elite level in this game, you have to be incredibly consistent every single day. Because if you dribble one off your foot, you're starting right back over at the bottom of the mountain.
Yep.
And for you, that could not be more applicable, because you very easily could have taken the cheat code. You could have taken the shortcut, but you knew better, because not only are you able to leverage experience, and that's
It's powerful.
that is an incredibly well-earned asset.
Yeah.
When you have experience on your side. But it is hard to be consistent all the time over a stretch of over 3 decades. How'd you do it?
I think it's exactly what you said. It's just one day, every day, staying true to who you are, being authentic.
Yeah.
Like just being authentic. Too much energy spent to be someone that you're not. I
Yeah.
can remember my general manager, we had a morning news anchor that he wanted to move to nights. And my general manager said, "Can you spend a couple weeks with him and just get him to be a newsman?" And I was like, "You're kidding me, right? Like a couple weeks with him?
Right.
No, this is like decades to be credible, and decades to, I've always been a straight shooter, so it's just, in valuing the one-on-one
Yep.
human experience, and being vulnerable, and being, when you admit that you're wrong and taking ownership
yeah.
of that, being
yeah.
like, okay, I messed up. I learned, I won't do it again.
Yeah.
Like I spelled Diamondale once, with an A, D-I-A-M, I wrote it. I came in that next morning, the newspaper's on my desk, circled, like,
Yeah.
Diamondale. I'm like, oops, but I probably was 24 years old, and I still remember that.
Sure.
Rob,
Right?
put this in perspective.
Yes, man.
One of her hardest issues was putting an A instead of an O.
Yeah.
That's the caliber of person
Yeah,
we're talking
literally.
to. I mean, if it
lying,
wasn't for
man.
spell check, the prosecutor would be like,
lying.
"What the hell is this guy trying to say?"
And one of the things that we wanted to dive into, and you teed it up perfect,
Yeah.
right? Is, and you mentioned social media, but we wanted to tee it up to talk about the changes. In your career of 37 years is clearly longer than our 25. But I say that to say, in our 25, when we started, there were not even computers in the cop cars yet.
Yep.
We were the first for that. There were no cell phones yet.
Nope.
If you had a cell phone when we started, you were either rich or a drug dealer. That was it.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Truly.
That was it.
Yeah.
And we certainly, how long did we go without body cams? 15 years? More than
Yeah.
that?
Shout out to Mike, because he knew we needed him. Yep.
Yeah. So, certainly there's been changes in technology. There's been ebbs and flows of, public opinion about the police, to and from, over the years. But talk to us about your perspective of what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen being the anchor that you are over the last almost 4 decades.
I know. I believe it or not, when you guys talk about no body cams, no computers, no cell phones, right? I literally worked on a manual typewriter with 4-ply carbon paper.
No, okay, wait a minute. Let me put this in perspective for the new people out there. No Google.
No
Google.
Dude,
No.
Smith
Hey
and
Google,
Corona.
how do you spell Diamondale?
That is exactly right.
Holy.
Not even electric.
Oh,
Not even electric.
manuals.
I'm
Holy
talking like,
smokes.
Yeah.
just like you
Yeah.
did it. Bop,
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 bop, bop. And
Yeah.
if you made a mistake, you literally had to go back and go X, 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 X.
Oh,
and
no.
then and so 4-ply, maybe 5.
Yeah.
And I should have saved one, but
Yeah.
top goes to the director, second copy goes to the audio guy, third copy goes to the floor director. Fourth copy goes to me. 5th copy goes to my producer, and then my co-anchor. So six
So you're
copies.
slamming these things.
You are really
Because if
punching
you're
'em.
tired,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't make it to the third copy.
So now everything is computer based. We type it in. I literally have an iPad on the set, and I can change something, hit save, and it'll come on the prompter, just like that.
Just like that.
Now, we used to take that, literally hand feed it through a little device where a camera like took a picture of the words and it went through and then it came, and then we would look at the screen and then we looked at the screen and there was the words, and then it'd be like XXX, and they're like, oh, and then you'd stop, and then if one time the guy fell asleep.
Oh no!
And during commercial, he's I look up at the computer and I'm like, and our top story for tonight.
Oh,
Hey, Bill!
Dude, you know, for real. You talk about sweating bullets.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm literally picturing,
Yeah.
I don't know why, I'm literally picturing somebody with a piece of chalk and a green chalkboard, like scratching it out and then erase it and then
scratching it out.
Yeah.
That, I mean,
So I mean,
my gosh.
that is the for real. We didn't.
Wow.
My
Holy
very first
smokes.
day on the job, I was supposed to just watch, and the Breslin Center was being built. Okay, that's how long ago it was, 1988, 89, and it's noon. And the crane that's building it crashes into the Breslin Center.
Oh.
And the assignment editor looks around, and he just came to my retirement party. He's 90 years old.
Oh.
And he goes, Jones, remember that first day? And I said, yeah, I do. And I said, I looked around the room and I said, I ain't got no bodies. Jones, go. And I'm like, I'm supposed to watch. Don't send me out there. He's like, you're live at noon. I'm like, oh my, there was no one in the newsroom. Everyone was doing their stories. I was this,
That's
and there I
exciting,
went.
though. It's
you
exciting,
talk about,
man. Holy,
I was shaking.
great. Yeah.
I mean, I hope that is long gone in the atmosphere.
So there's no
God.
way we can find that
no,
footage?
that is not. Don't even look for it.
We might have to dig for that, Rob.
Google's a
my
pretty good
God.
tool, dude. We gotta Google
Oh,
Breslin.
Wow.
there's some
Yeah.
videos out there.
Oh, I
Mhm.
can't wait.
Oh, you can't. Yeah.
Well, everything
So-
has a learning curve, right?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were talking about my voice earlier,
Yeah.
and this voice that is, 6 years of cheerleading and yelling loud and talking, but this is how I sound. So I was an intern at Wood TV, and Dan Spalding, the news director, called me in and said, your voice is just way too gravelly, and I really don't think you're going to make it in this business. And I said,
Really?
well, sir, this is my voice, and I beg to differ. So thank you so much.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and that has been a really good speaking point when I'm talking to young women and young people that want to get into the profession.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone steal your dreams. Don't let them do it.
Right.
Don't let them tell you that you don't sound right or you don't look right or
Right.
you don't whatever.
Yeah.
Because we all have unique gifts and talents. And
Yeah.
now, today, I was out at the store and someone whipped their head around and they said,
I recognize
are
that
you
voice.
sure? And I said, yeah, I'm sure. It was your voice,
Hell
right?
yeah. Hell yeah.
And then
So-
sometimes I will deny that, You sound like Sheri Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. yeah.
I mean, in
Wow.
all honesty, before we started recording, I mentioned that to you, and I was like,
Yeah.
the draw, for me was like, I think she's telling me the truth.
Oh, that's so
Your voice was very counselor, like therapeutic.
Yes.
Just like, okay,
Yes.
because we have a career of listening to bullshitters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they don't talk like Sheri Jones.
Well,
You know what I mean? They don't have that smooth, like, listen, what I'm trying to tell you is none of that. It's it's always the pitch, and for that guy to say, well,
Yeah.
how wrong was he?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
man,
I
you ain't
appreciate
kidding.
it, but
You ain't
it's
kidding.
Yeah.
true. If you have a dream, you got to
Yeah.
work. You got to
Yeah.
just say, no one's taking my dream.
Yeah.
My counselor didn't want me to go to Michigan State. Said it was too big for me. My high school counselor, because I'm from a small farming community, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's way too big. And when I made the dean's list the first term, I sent my grades right
Did
back
you?
to him.
Hell yeah.
And said, don't, please,
Yeah.
just. I know you probably meant well, but
Yeah.
don't steal my dream. That's
right.
Did you
It's
send a lot of
always-
voicemail to the like messages to the one guy. Hey,
Hello, Dave.
Back then it was
Dave.
tight,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it takes a while.
Right? Exactly.
Who's got time?
Oh yeah, and another
yeah.
thing.
He said another thing.
And another.
Man,
Oh my
That's-
We
god.
had
awesome.
8 different editing systems, different, I probably learned 6 or 7 different editing systems that from all the different
Yeah.
formats that you go through. And now we shoot on this tiny little card, and we used to shoot on, 8mm tapes, big tapes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in your accomplished storied career, and I know there's many of them, and I don't want to say that there's just one, but a lot of times the question is posed this way: who was the mentor through your process that you learned the most from, or you learned a lot from? I don't want to exclude anybody, but that you learned a lot from.
Jane Aldrich and I worked together for, 20 some years.
Okay.
So, and she was 10 years my senior. So I watched her. I watched her journalism aspects. I watched how she was in the community. I watched her mentorship. And so I learned a lot from her being in that community.
Yeah.
And I'm from the West Side, so I watched Suzanne G. Haw.
Okay.
And then being from the Detroit area, you watch.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to tell you that it's not quite public yet, but maybe it will be by the time that this airs, is that I am going into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame with Diana Lewis.
Come on.
Oh my goodness! Diana Lewis used
Yes.
to sit right to Bill Bonds.
Right.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness!
And Robbie Timmons.
Oh yeah, no, Robbie Timmons. I'm
Yes.
telling you, if
Yeah.
you watch news from Detroit area,
Right.
those were the ones we were
Those are
watching.
the people, yeah. So
Wow.
that's going to be in October. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you
Let's
so
cheer to
much.
that.
So
huh?
much.
Shall we
Yeah,
toast
let's
to
cheer
that?
to that.
Cheer to that.
Here's my, look at this. Cool.
Sheri
Look at
Jones,
this. Look
Women
at
Hall of
this.
Fame.
Yeah,
I
man.
love
Come on,
it.
man.
Right
Yeah.
here.
Come on.
And my name is so unique. My dad named me, so to have a personalized mug, you
Yeah.
can never find Sheri spelled this way. So cheers
Yeah.
to you.
Well, shout
Thank
out to
you.
Jess.
Well,
Jess
we,
behind
we know someone in the name of my wife,
Yeah.
Jess, who is a pretty powerful cricketer, we call
Yeah,
her.
cricketer,
I love
dude.
it.
It's
I
like
love
we
it.
put her on the spot a lot with,
Yeah.
hey, we saw that on a bumper sticker, make it a T-shirt,
Yeah.
and abracadabra,
Yeah.
there's a T-shirt.
I
You know what I
love
mean?
it.
Like, yeah.
Oh, I knew right
she's
away
the
the
sensei at
cricket.
the dojo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
So-
it is you just in anything that you do, you just do the best you can every day, right?
Yeah.
That's all anyone can ask. And then I always say, give a little bit more. The 1 degree difference. Like water at 211 doesn't boil, but 212 it does.
Yes.
Just give that little bit more.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
So
You could
so,
not
man.
be more right.
So
That-
I
that's
followed.
That's
yeah.
where we lived.
I
that
followed
1 degree.
when we presented at the Lansing Center for the Gang Conference.
Yes.
Rob and I had spent a lot of time preparing for that, and Rob was the lead on that. I'll be honest. I mean, he was describing what I knew that him and I did through our profession, but it was exactly that. What our presentation was 10% more.
Yes.
And where that puts you, like it puts you in another
It does.
area of accomplishment. And when you saw that baby, you knew that wasn't right. Mm-hmm. And it hit you, and it should have hit you. Mm-hmm. Hit you and made you feel drawn to tears. And because unfortunately on this planet that we live on, there's so much that's done wrong. You know what I mean? And then if we do our jobs in our respective fields, we can literally keep the dam from overflowing. When you're driving home, knowing that Crime Stoppers hit another goal, right? Or you're driving home and we got the murder weapon, right? Or we've got witnesses to win the case in court, whatever nuance it is. I know when my head hit the pillow at night, and I felt like what I'm trying to describe. I woke up whether the sun was up or not. I was smiling from ear to ear, and I can honestly say I was 1,000% blessed with the Lansing Police Department and the people that I was able to make friends with, my second family, And I know that you feel that way. I can just tell.
Oh, yeah.
I can just tell that everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about Jane Aldridge. She was so fun to watch too.
Oh, yes.
Just a constant.
You know, having a female anchor team, that wasn't
Right.
heard of.
Yeah.
Sure.
That was
Yeah.
not heard of at all.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started, there were no female weather people, there were no female sports people.
Right.
And then to put a female anchor team together on the air, it was unprecedented.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when she retired, it was easy for me then. There was no drop off. It
Yeah.
just, everything just was very seamless
Yeah.
when she retired.
And it felt like that as a consumer.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's been amazing. And thank you guys for working the street. I mean, I know that is a tough assignment, and a lot of guys want to go
Yeah.
into the jail or want to go into DB or want to go into
Yeah.
this. But when you're constantly you're on the patrol.
Yeah.
And were you part of the community policing as well? Did you do some of that?
I did not. I did not.
Yeah.
Well, I did for a little bit. I helped out, but I didn't have like a specific assignment for an extended period of time.
Right.
Yeah, I was in the CPO unit. I can't remember the years, but yeah, I did that for a term.
Right. So Dr. Trojanowicz over at MSU was
Yep.
one of the people that really brought community policing to the area through the criminal justice program. And then with Jim and Cassie Hios's help,
Yep.
they brought Crime Stoppers to Mid-Michigan from California. So
Wow.
Trojanowicz,
Yep.
Eric's dad,
Yeah.
was really the first father of Crime Stoppers in Mid-Michigan here. And then they
Yeah.
went through a couple of spokespersons,
Yep.
Eric Oferseth
Yeah.
and a couple other people. And then we saw that potential, and my news director at the time said, let's offer Crime Stoppers an exclusive agreement
Yeah.
for TV6. And I said, great. And I wanted to do that. So
Yeah.
having that ability to work with Crime Stoppers and to help solve crime and to use the community to call in the tips. And there have been times when literally someone has called me at
Oh,
my
wow.
desk and said, hey, that guy that you featured last night on Crime Stoppers is in our parking lot right now picking up his girlfriend.
Literally.
So then I literally picked the phone up, called dispatch, told this person to hang on,
Yeah.
called dispatch and said, hey, I need you to send a patrol car over here, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then this person, and thanked them for calling,
Yep.
and then hung up. Or hairstylists will
Yeah.
call and say, I shaved that guy's head. You know,
Right.
he's bald now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I said, well, did he say where he was going or what he was doing?
Yeah,
you know?
man, like,
Yeah,
girl,
right?
you're in the hair room, man. Get the details, man. Like, who's this girl? Like, how they doing?
So I
That's
mean, it was
amazing.
really weird to be in that space, but I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
And then there's been some really hard times too, where
I bet.
a very really horrible and disgusting case about a dad who was doing something to his
Yep,
daughter,
yep.
and they got the girl out, and she was in protective services, but they knew the dad was going to flee, and so they said, you need to go on Crime Stop, you need to go on TV right now.
Yep.
This is the guy's face. You got to put this out there. I said, I'll do it at 6 o'clock. And I just sat at the corner of Waverly and St. Joe,
Yeah.
and I said a prayer.
Yeah.
And I just said, okay, we're going to do this. And he was we caught him 24 hours later. He was on a bus to Florida, and
him up.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And so those kinds of things were like, he just got on
Yeah.
a bus and is heading out and da-da-da-da because
Yeah.
of that. Also another arson on the south side. We knew that the guy that was going around trying to save everybody was shirtless.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know who it was. They called me. I put his whole face and everything on TV because we had him on video. He was identified.
Yeah.
He was the arsonist.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those little stories, that just...
And that's what
It's
I mean.
what
That's
keeps you
what's so epic about,
Yeah. That's
right.
about your
That's right.
about your career is honest information sharing. You know, I
Yes.
talked about a little while back how I get so frustrated about the dishonesty. It's like if the information is honest, at least now we can start someplace.
Mm-hmm.
If it's dishonest and we never get a starting point, where do you go if you don't have a starting point? And information sharing, honestly and respectfully, that's I hope journalism finds its way back to that, because that's what keeps communities together. That's what keeps communities trust with police departments. That's what keeps us drawn to, okay, if I don't know, I'll watch the news tonight. Sheri Jones is going to tell me what's up. You know what I mean? So,
Well, thank you. And
Yeah.
that is what social media has kind of eroded
Yeah.
the
Oh, for
fabric
sure.
of
100%.
what,
Absolutely.
because I say to some people, well, I don't watch, they say, well, I don't watch the news. I'm like, well, how do you get your news? Well, Facebook. I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
Oh.
with all due, that's not news.
Yep. No.
That's someone saying something that hasn't been vetted or isn't, you can't prove it's ethical, or you can't prove, it's like I said, I want to be right and not first. I want to make sure that I have other sources that say that this is true before I put it on TV.
Sure.
So a lot of times those things that happen on Facebook, if we have to then call and make sure, is this true, is that not true, before we will then do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't, and then because of the algorithms of social media, you are just fed the same slanted information over and over and over. And the longer that you spend on that story, they're like, oh, this really hits with this, so we're going to keep sending more of that. You never get the opposite point of view, ever.
I
Ever.
think
No?
you nailed it for me anyway. I believe the most toxic characteristic of social media is algorithms.
Oh,
You know what
sure.
I mean? I
Yeah.
just feel like if it was just put out there and it's like a raffle, you just, the next reel is something different. Because I know what happens to me. I'll watch certain things, the Lions, so to speak.
Yeah, I see your mugs. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm like
Cricket.
crazy Lions fan. It's like my algorithm must be stuck. Everything's Lions, you know what I mean? It's like-
There ain't no Control Alt Delete on the algorithm. Dude.
No. And it's. I think, and this is a topic for some other day, but I think it's so advantageous, right? And when I say advantageous, I'm speaking of the younger minds. We're adults, right? We can filter, we can vet, we can push things away, but our children, if exposed at too young of an age, I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. I think there's just too much information coming way too fast, and mom and dad aren't there to say, whoa. That's not right. You know what I mean? And I hate that. I hate that about algorithms and social media. Yeah.
Well, it's just leverage against
Yeah.
your own almost anything else.
Right.
Like it's just drilling you with something you clicked on once, and now
Yeah.
it's just a speed bag, man.
Yep.
We have so much respect for your professional career because that's how we know you.
Thank you.
Right? But we know that there's a whole nother dynamic for you, which is your family, and we would like you to take a chunk of time here and tell us about who your family is, who your kids are, who your husband is, and tell us how you balanced such a committed professional career with mom and wife, man.
Yeah. And I don't think there's really a balance. Sometimes you're good at one thing, and that day you're a better worker, and
I
the
agree.
next day you're a better mom. And a lot of people ask me that, and I say it's a teeter-totter. There is no perfect. You just do the best you can.
Yep.
But community service has always been a part of my life. It's how I was raised. Because people say, why do you get paid for that? I said, no. It's just, it's part of my DNA.
right.
The community service award in my hometown is named after my grandfather, and my parents were Lions in church and League of Women Voters. My mother was very active in leadership roles, and so then I was in saying yes and using the gifts and talents that I have to host and to do when I'm able to do the police awards banquet and I read those stories and the commendations that you have for the amazing things that you do that people don't necessarily know, the life-saving things
Yes.
and the life-risking things. So it fills my cup. It fills my cup, and it fills the community's cup. So I always am looking out for the little guy.
Yeah.
And it was really important for me to raise my children in that environment. So when we talked earlier about Angel House, by golly, when they dug that hole for that house, we went. When they framed it, we went.
Right.
When
Wow.
they put the carpet in, my kids vacuumed. When the
Really?
bunk beds needed to be built,
Yeah.
bunk beds built, try that.
No, not here.
Rocco got the dads and the boys, and they built those bunk beds. And then when it was birthday time, they got their money from their birthdays, and they bought dream machines for every room.
That's awesome.
And then when they had community service for school, they came out and they did the mulch and they pulled the weeds. And so I want to raise good human beings.
Yes.
My kids have lived a privileged life.
Yeah.
You know, do they want to go to the basketball game, the football game? Do they want to go to the Wharton Center? Do they want to go in the locker room at, you know,
Yeah,
do
right.
they want to go to Sesame Street Live and sit
Yeah.
in the front row? Do they want, you know what I mean? Like, but they understood it was a privilege and not a right.
Right.
And that's important when you're raising kids. That
100%.
you don't have a right to a cell phone. It's a privilege. You don't have a right to a car.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to have a car.
Yeah.
But our kids across the street, you know, they had a lawn service. Not my kids. They mowed. They did mulch.
Yeah.
They grumbled, but their work ethic now is off the chart. My oldest son is just turned 30. He's in Grand Rapids. He works for Acrisure, Greg Williams' company.
Nice.
He is just got a promotion. He's
Yeah.
doing wonderfully. He's in finance. He got a finance degree from Kalamazoo College. He was a quarterback of the football team.
Okay.
There, shared responsibilities
Yeah.
with some other guys. My second son is in Chicago, and he went to Grand Valley, and he was broke up with his girlfriend during COVID, had a lot of money, thought, I'm going to go get a certificate from Harvard in analytics.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, Connor, you go. I mean, you know, so
Yeah.
they understand you got to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And then he got a different job.
Yeah.
And so 2 boys, 30, 28.
Yeah.
And then we have a daughter who's 24, and she's a mini-me.
Yeah. Yes.
And she is now labor and delivery nurse at McLaren Hospital, graduated from Hope. And she is doing that, and she works nights because
Yeah.
she's like, I know you did it, I know you grind,
doesn't that
Mom.
make you feel good?
You, and she works 7P to 7A, and she's delivered, I think, helped deliver probably 14 babies so far. She's 24.
Wow.
And her hands are healing hands.
Yes.
She is right where God
Yeah.
wants her to be. She's
Yeah.
right there, and it's
What a
beautiful to see.
responsibility. What a
I know.
responsibility. Man.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And she's seen, you talk about, like, for me, going into drug houses and seeing children, for her, seeing all different kinds of moms and situations, very tough, like DHHS called,
Yeah.
or Protective Child, CPS,
Child
called
Protective Services.
the hospital, and the night nurse was like, Brianna, wasn't this your patient? You talk to her. And so Bree was like, okay. And she just talked all about the mom with
Yeah.
CPS and
Yeah.
everything and what she saw and had to do. So she's had to grow up pretty fast in that too. But hard work ethic, committed, good human beings.
Yeah,
that
man.
was really important for me.
Yeah.
Really important. And I raised them in Montessori
Yep.
and then private Catholic
Montessori?
schools. The Lansing Montessori.
On St. Joe? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my district for years.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
great school.
Yes.
Because I wanted them to have awareness of all cultures.
Yeah.
You know, and it really has been beautiful.
I would pull up there on Bruce Street,
Yeah.
and I would watch the traffic, and every now and then I'd get in conversation with those little kids, and I'd
Yes.
pull away, and I'd be like, that little dude's smarter than me.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
wow.
Montessori is
Yeah.
neat because once your child masters something, they just go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
They don't teach to the medium; they just
Yeah.
teach to the child.
So how awesome is it as parents, because all of us are parents in this
Mm-hmm.
room, to know that at least in your generation of existence, generationally, you created a foundation for success.
Yeah.
And as a
It's-
parent, I don't know that there's anything else you want.
Nope.
I don't want anything else but what you just described.
Right.
That's right.
You know, and if our kids can find their way, right? But do it kind of like, you know, listen, let's tell the truth. If they got the front row seat at the circus shows, because Mama got some pull.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that pull came because Mama worked her tail off.
right.
Right? And Daddy worked his tail off.
Right.
So they see that and they want to emulate that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it is with unfortunately with some of our clients in law enforcement. You know, it's you're going to perform based on what your expectations are. And you know, that's the hope, right? When we go to a call, can we step in here? Can we hold somebody accountable? Can the other services attached to this help us out and help this incident to some type of change, right? And it frustrates me. This is a little side note when people look at law enforcement and expect us to do it all. It's an impossible task. We've got to have other agencies, CPS, DH, whoever, involved in this, and community groups holding law enforcement accountable. I'm all about accountability, as long as what we're concentrated on is the product at the end of whatever we're working on.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you've produced some phenomenal kids. What about your husband?
And so Rocco, I had one job and he's had about 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's had many, many different careers. He was in tech, he's in insurance, and now he's in banking.
Okay.
So now he's in wealth management for PNC.
Okay.
And he is a vice president, has people that, work with their clients and everything. But for all of our lives, I've worked second shift and he's worked first shift.
Yes.
And a lot of times we were, ships passing in the night, but we had a nanny come into the house for like 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was home with the kids. I went part-time for a little while when they were younger, just to make sure that those tenuous years that I was, right there for them. And I just did the 11.
Yeah.
But Rocco, he's a great cook from his Italian heritage.
I was just saying, a name like Rocco, come on,
man.
So
Come on.
we always ate together as a family at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I'd have them have snacks right when they got home from school. We'd get their homework around, and I'd kind of satiate the boys, and then they'd go to practice, and then they'd come back, and then we'd have a full meal. So we had that family time.
What's Rocco's best dish?
Oh my gosh. Instead of chicken cacciatore, we call it Rocco cacciatore. He'll bring it in if you say you want chicken. You want chicken rockatori, he'll bring it in for you.
I love it.
But
Oh
he does these Taste of Italy's that he cooks these 7-course meals, and he talks about his Italian heritage, and he donates them for charity, and then the kids will come and help serve and everything. And so and then I'm kind of like the maitre d', and our friends help us with those, Mike and Kelly.
Awesome.
And so he's a very good cook.
That's awesome.
That's why I have to work out. Otherwise, with all the pasta and bread, I'd weigh 300 pounds.
Yeah, man. Love it. So if I was Rocco, right, and we mentioned that my wife is pretty good on the cricket, but take my wife out of it. If I just had a cricket available to me and I was Rocco, I would have a photo of Sheri Jones and say, I'm married to Sheri Jones.
If I tried the cricket, I'd have a shirt with a smudge on it.
Oh yeah, dude. No, cricket. No. So
thank you so much,
as you
guys.
describe your kids, Sheri, here's my takeaway from that. As you describe that, your kids saw you chase your dream, and now they're strong enough in their own that they're chasing theirs.
Yes, that's
and
great.
as mom and dad, man, that is a huge driving force for me, because Kaz and I have been on second shift the bulk of our career.
I know.
And you want to talk about a shift that will wear out a family, that is the one. Because you're just gone in the sweet spot. But my kids saw me put everything I had situationally, like you said, into it. When it's time to do my job, I did everything I had to do my job, right? And my kids saw me chase that, and I hope that our son. So we've got twin girls. They're 14, so they're a little bit younger. But our son is 17. He's a licensed pilot.
That's awesome.
He's a licensed pilot. He's out there doing it, man.
See?
He's taking us
That's
up in an airplane.
fantastic. Congrats.
And I say that because and he was afforded a huge opportunity from my dad, who is his instructor and everything. But he chased it, man. He got it. He earned it. And I certainly don't accredit all that to me. I mean, my wife is dynamite, and she's had a more influence than I have with our kids. But I would like to think exactly like what you're describing, Sheri, that your kids see you chasing it, and that's what they come by naturally, because that's what they know. That's the environment they grew up in. So,
You are right.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Sheri.
thank you.
We understand that you are a very busy person.
Yes.
And that your calendar, your social calendar is probably full. So we want to thank you just for coming
man.
in here and having this great conversation with us. I can't wait till we edit this and put this out because I've had a great time.
So awesome.
Great time.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Rock star status.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for all you've done with Crime Stoppers and the legacy you've earned. You've earned it. Thank you.
If there's one message you want to leave our audience with, right?
What would you say to the 23-year-old girl just getting out of college, thinking about journalism? What advice would you give, or not even journalism, just anyone that you feel like you could relate to? Good question.
I think the world needs young voices. They need young voices. And everyone is born worthy to do what they want to do. And don't let anyone steal your dream. And your voice needs to be heard. So go out there and be your best self. Be authentic, dream big, and the world is your oyster. You only limit yourself. And that's it. You can have it. You can have
Awesome. You know, this guy said your voice was too gravelly.
Right.
Well, gravel builds roads to success.
it. Yeah, that's
That road's paved with gold.
You know what I mean?
That road is paved with gold.
that is gold.
Yes.
That is gold.
Solid.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you so much.
Thank you for
Thank you
that.
so much,
Appreciate
Sheri.
you.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys
Love you.
so much.
All right.
All right.